Emperor Uriel Septim VII is dead at the age of 87, having ruled Tamriel for 65 years. He was killed by assassins unknown. At the same time, in separate locations, the late Emperor's 3 sons and heirs, Crown Prince Geldal, age 56, Prince Enman, aged 55, Prince Abel, age 53, were slain by other assassins. An investigation into the identity and motives of the assassins is underway, but the Elder Council, Imperial Guard, and Blades Guard have forbidden the publication of reports and rumors concerning the event until further notice. By ancient precedent, the Elder Council rules the Empire until a new Emperor is crowned. No direct heirs survive, and the Council has proposed no list of candidates. Chancellor Okato, Imperial Battle Mage, speaking for the Elder Council, presented an appeal to the Empire's citizens for calm, and asked that the people remember the Emperor, his sons, and the Elder Council in their prayers. Emperors come and go like travelers at a roadside inn, but the Elder Council, they endure, and have ever since the founding of the First Empire by Saint Alicia. An emperor is only as good as the council he receives, and winning the favor of the Elder Council is more significant than any conquest. This much is clear through the story of Uriel Septim V and his son. Uriel V was a brilliant tactician, and his ambitions spanned far beyond the horizon. That tenacity was all well and good until he was butchered by serpent creatures in a distant hostile land. As the sage named Ugarij said, Uriel V conquered Ezrionet, but Uriel VI conquered the Elder Council, and with the Elder Council at his back, Uriel VI could boast with conviction that he truly did rule Tamriel. Of course, the Emperor's power is absolute, but the power to veto the will of the Elder Council is not enough to rule a cohesive realm. Win the High Chancellor, win the Council, and in turn, you may win a long and prosperous reign. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Michael, and welcome back to Fudge Muppet. In this video, we're going to explore the Elder Council of the Cyrodiilic Empire. The many Riemann, Septim, Mede, and other emperors are covered in much detail on the channel, but it is easy to underestimate just how much power is held by the Imperial Council. In fact, after we explore the lore of the Council, a prominent question will inevitably rear its head. Is the Elder Council more powerful than the Emperor? Is it the Council that truly rules the Empire? Well, let's get right into it, shall we, starting at the beginning. Little is known of the Council prior to the Third Era, but the consensus seems to be that the Elder Council has existed ever since the legendary uprising of Saint Alicia and the needy humans of the Heartland. The slave rebellion brought about the end of the Great Ayleid Empire, giving way to the Empire of Men. For the most part, the daily duties of the Elder Council are not as glamorous as those of the Emperor. Their primary function is to deal with the responsibilities considered too dull for their ruler. To most emperors, ruling is all about waging war, taking land, and acquiring new subordinates and vassals. When not engaged in one of the above, ruling mostly means drinking, feasting, and hunting for sport. But believe it or not, warring and annexing land comes with a lot of additional work. Foreign lands need to be assimilated into the empire smoothly, loyal vassals need to be appointed, taxes need to be enforced, and most importantly, the emperor's peace must be maintained. These are the kinds of duties specially reserved for the High Chancellor and the other members of the Elder Council. It is not explicitly stated anywhere in the histories just how many members the council officially has, but it would be safe to assume 30, including the High Chancellor, as the council chambers in the Imperial Palace seats that many. Most meetings of the council will cover taxation, infrastructure, and minor legislation, but it is important to note that whatever the matter, large or small, the emperor always has the right to veto any decision. This power rarely comes into use, as it is likely to cause more drama than it solves, and the emperor seldom frets over small matters. With this in mind, it's easy to see why the Elder Council flew under the radar for large chunks of history. No one ever spares a thought for the daily duties of an empire, even when these duties are paramount to the longevity and health of the empire. People only show an interest when something big is happening, and this no doubt contributes to the perception that the Elder Council is constantly vying for power with the emperor. The history of the Elder Council, like most of history, is a highlight reel, and the annals care more for the grand schemes than a list of minutes on the subject of tax reform. One interesting responsibility that falls under the jurisdiction of the Elder Council is the recognition and inauguration of a new ruler upon the death of the Emperor. During these inherently tumultuous transition periods, it falls upon the Council, specifically the High Chancellor, to rule the Empire. 9 times out of 10, this interim period is brief and easy to resolve, but bloodlines can be tricky. And what about when the heir is too young or deemed incompetent? These are big calls to make, and once again it falls upon the Elder Council to make them. In the event of an unfit heir, the council may choose an emperor or empress regent to rule in the heir's stead. It is not unprecedented throughout imperial history for usurpers to seize the imperial city, and in doing so they seize the Ruby Throne and the Elder Council, and in some instances no suitable heir is identified, leaving the council to rule for longer periods of time. In these cases, the council now gain full command over the empire's military forces, and if a legitimate heir is not recognized and unanimously decided upon, the High Chancellor's temporary leadership can be authorized officially, giving them the title of potentate, which is essentially a steward to the throne, making the High Chancellor emperor in all but name. On paper, nothing I've mentioned about the duties of the Elder Council should raise concern. The weight of an empire is far too great for one man after all. It is wise to elect a council of proven advisors to share the burden, and theoretically, if they've advanced themselves to a seat in the council chambers, their value and trustworthiness should be a given. But unfortunately, that is not how power works, especially not in realms ruled by men. No race in the universe is more prone to avarice and corruption, and it is due to this inevitability that we ask the question, is the Elder Council more powerful than the Emperor? In the Guide to the Imperial City, the Elder Council is described as scheming and proud, and while the perception is not voiced openly in court, there is an unspoken consensus that the Elder Council is usually engaged in one of the following. They're either caught up in some disagreement with the Emperor, or the individual members are looking for any possible ways to curry favor with the Ruby Throne. Status, wealth, and power are all virtues innate to members of the Elder Council, and this much is clear through their symbol of office. This symbol is a specially crafted amulet, supposedly worth a small fortune. As families across Cyrodiil garner more power and influence, having a member of the family on the council becomes a certainty. This is the seal of approval, marking your family as one of significance. In such a climate, the mundane duties of the council become overshadowed by the avenues to power and influence that open up to new members. How can you entrust such vital responsibilities to the Elder Council when its members are all clawing at each other to climb the rungs of the social ladder? As we move on to cover the history of the council, these power struggles will be a recurring theme. One of the first times in history we explicitly hear about the Elder Council was during the 2920th year of the First Era. The word potentate used to be the word for the Emperor's chief advisor. Versidue Shea was the Akaviri chief advisor of Riemann III, and he conspired to have both Emperor Riemann III and his heir prince Juliek assassinated. The ploy was successful, and with no legible heir, Versidue Shea became the first potentate to rule the empire. This brought about a chapter of imperial history we call the Akaviri Potentate. In the aftermath of the assassinations, Shea declared his intent to take over leadership of the empire while retaining his former title of potentate, and in the same speech he announced the end of the First Era and the beginning of the Second. 282 years later, Versidue Shea called a meeting of the Elder Council. This meeting would go down in history as the Council of Bardmont, as Shea's proposals would rattle the empire to its core, leading to unfathomable bloodshed. Shea announced universal martial law, dissolving all armies in the empire except for his own, but just as treachery brought Versidue Shea to the Ruby Throne, treachery would unseat him. Shea was assassinated by the Morag Tong in the Second Era, year 324. The next major involvement of the council came during the reign of Emperor Pelagius Septim II. I'll be referring to a brief history of the empire a few times from now, and the first excerpt states, Pelagius II inherited not only the throne from his father, but the debt from the latter's poor financial and judicial management. Pelagius dismissed all of the Elder Council and allowed only those willing to pay great sums to resume their seats. He encouraged similar acts among his vassals, the kings of Tamriel, and by the end of his 17-year reign, Tamriel had returned to prosperity. His critics, however, have suggested that any advisor possessed of wisdom, but not of gold, had been summarily ousted by Pelagius. This may have led to some of the troubles his son Antiochus faced when he in turn became emperor. This bizarre decision by Pelagius could be used as an argument for why the Elder Council are so focused on wealth and power, and why influence tends to take priority over wisdom when electing new members. But then again, as we saw through Versa du Che, there was no shortage of ambition prior to the Septim dynasty. The consequences of Pelagius's actions are documented in the book titled The Wolf Queen, which says, he had ruled over a difficult 17 years. In order to fill the bankrupt treasury, Pelagius had dismissed the Elder Council, forcing them to buy back their positions. Several good but poor councillors had been lost. Many say the emperor had died as a result of being poisoned by a vengeful former council member. And the long-term effect was written in A Brief History of the Empire. Since the days of Pelagius II, the Elder Council had consisted of the wealthiest men and women in the empire, and the power they wielded was conclusive. Pelagius had prioritized coin over good counsel, and that attitude was forever reflected by the Elder Council. 22 years later, when Empress Kintyra II was captured in the War of the Red Diamond, the Elder Council was left in charge of the empire's military. They were outwitted by the Wolf Queen and her son Uriel. The Wolf Queen besieged the imperial city for a fortnight before the Elder Council yielded and recognized Uriel as the new emperor. In the 145th year of the Third Era, Pelagius III was crowned emperor, and to this day, many questions are asked regarding how he passed the Elder Council's competency verdicts. But while Pelagius the Mad was a nuisance, it is believed that the council, along with Pelagius's wife, Kateriah, ruled in earnest behind the scenes. Kateriah would soon become empress, and she is renowned for her frequent confrontations with the Elder Council. Perhaps Kateriah's competence was an inconvenience, blocking the council from the control they had during Pelagius's reign, even in matters as simple as determining which armorer should design the equipment for the imperial troops was a struggle between Kateriah and the council. No doubt, racism directed towards Kateriah and her kin, who were Dunmeri, worked in favor of the council as they grew their influence. A Brief History of the Empire claims that ever since Kateriah's reign, it was the Elder Council that retained the real power in Cyrodiil. Uriel Septim IV had to deal with the council at their most stubborn. Few of the Elder Council could be persuaded to accept him fully as a blood descendant of Tiber. The council had assumed much responsibility during Kateriah I's long reign, and Cassinda I's short one, and a strong-willed alien monarch like Uriel IV found it impossible to command their unswerving fealty. Time and again the council and emperor were at odds, and time and again the council won the battles. By the time Uriel Septim VI came into power, attempting to assert dominance over the council was frivolous. The council so enjoyed its unlimited and unrestricted freedom to promulgate laws and generate profits that Uriel VI was not given full license to rule until 307, when he was already 22 years old. He had been slowly assuming positions of responsibility for years, but both the council and his mother, who enjoyed even her limited regency, were loath to hand over the reins. By the time he came to the throne, the mechanisms of government gave him little power except for that of the imperial veto. This trend seemed to only be getting worse, and soon the title of the emperor would be nothing more than a word and a crown. But Uriel VI used what little power he still had to beat the council into submission. He used his veto regularly and vigorously, constantly foiling the plans of the council. He utilized defunct spy networks and guard units to bully and coerce the difficult members of the Elder Council, and it worked. It seems as though much of Uriel VI's work would be undone by the Oblivion crisis, however, as the Septim dynasty died with Martin, and High Chancellor Okado reluctantly became potentate. He was assassinated not long later in the year 10 of the Fourth Era, leading to years of ruthless infighting, plots, and backstabbing within the council. Many tried to claim the imperial throne, but it was the Clovian lord Titus Mede who succeeded. As we approach the modern day, you may think that the stability brought in by the Mede dynasty might have brought the Elder Council in line, but it seems the council is as fractured and cunning as ever thanks to a council member named Ormond Mortier. Ormond comes from a powerful Breton family in Cyrodiil, and it was he who sought out the services of Skyrim's Dark Brotherhood. Ormond wished to remove Titus Mede II from power, most likely to seat a new emperor on the Ruby Throne, an emperor who would be more susceptible to his influence, and in order to make it happen, he contracted the Brotherhood to assassinate Titus Mede II. If this faction plotline is recognized as canon in The Elder Scrolls 6, then we can say without a shadow of a doubt that the Elder Council is not working in harmony with the Emperor, and with Titus Mede out of the picture, there would be no doubt where the true power lies in this broken Cyrodiilic Empire. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the lore of the Elder Council and their influence over the fate of Tamriel. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching. If you're interested, social media links are in the description as always, and I would love any feedback that you have regarding this video or the channel in general in the comments section below. Once again, I'm Michael. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to nerding out with you again very soon.